Welcome back to 13C. Today, the R50 Pro Seeker from Olight. We have the LE kit in right now. We'll wind up talking about the standard one a little later on, but to start out with, the light is going to be the same. It'll have a top output of 3200 lumens using an XHP70 cool white LED. Really quickly, I wanted to mention there's a pretty substantial flash sale coming up on these here pretty shortly. I'll put more information and the links down below in the description. Now, the throw on this is listed for 250 meters. We're going to take you outside tonight and show you just what kind of beam this is. It has a pretty wide beam on it and then a smaller center-in hotspot that throws out a very long distance. So we're going to give you kind of neat perspective here tonight as we've been using around the farm. I've been out with the dog every night, walking him, stuff like that, letting him run around. And we'll show you over the top of the corn that's growing just so you can get an idea what kind of lower intensity beam is in the wider edges, and that center hotspot going out to about 200 yards. So it's pretty nice distance across the cornfield there to hit the tree line. Hopefully that'll play well to video later on tonight. Speaking of different ratings, it's drop rated to 1 meter, and the waterproof rating on this is IPX8. According to Olight, the 8 testing level is for 2 meters. Weight-wise, it's got a decent little heft to it. It's 9.1 ounces. Part of the reason is it has the battery in here that's used to power this is this large 26650 rechargeable battery, which weighs probably about 40% of the total weight of this light. If you're wondering where that is, there's an O-ring in here as well to help get that distance, or the seal anyway, for where you're at here for the waterproof rating. This is going to be drop tested at 1 meter, and its waterproof rating is IPX8. Now 7 is that 1 meter at 30 minutes. This is the X rating for this is listed by Olight at 2 meters. So that's nice to see. It's a little heavier duty as far as that's concerned. Now, obviously, 6 feet down, I wouldn't recommend dropping any light down that far. And any of these ratings that you see, you don't want to manipulate those buttons while they're underwater, because normally none of it, there's just static water testing, unless it's some kind of pressure testing or specifically delineated. Make sure you understand that you don't want to manipulate any buttons underwater. I can't speak specifically for this one because it doesn't list it, but generally speaking, that's where those types of things fall. It also has a low power indicator on here, so it'll turn red when your battery is getting low. Let's get into some of the different modes. To turn it on, there's the button right here. You just simply click it. It'll come on to the last power level you had it at. And you've got 4 modes on here: low, medium, high, and turbo. The turbo mode, the only way to access the turbo mode is to double click it, and it'll kick into high mode, and it'll stay there for 1.5 minutes at 3200 lumens, and then slowly it's going to step down after about 1.5 minutes, and then drop down to 1000 lumens for 150 minutes. Part of that is with these high intensity LEDs, if you're not familiar with them, what'll happen is your outer bezel here will actually start to get pretty hot, and it's a feature to keep it from overheating. So this bezel will get pretty hot, not so much that it's going to burn you, at least not in my experience. I ran it until it stepped down all the way a couple times here. We've had some decent temperature swings in the past 2 weeks here. Nights where it was still only 80 degrees and other nights where it went down into the low 40s. So a pretty wide variety we've been able to get out there with it. The handle itself stays whatever the temperature is ambient air wise, or whatever you're holding it, and then this little portion right here can get a little warm, but not as hot as a bezel. Again, it won't burn you, but it's something to be aware of. Those types of things bother you. It's normal. It's not that your light's malfunctioning. It's normal with a lot of these high output LEDs. The high mode, so to access the modes, you just click it, turn it on, push and hold it, and it'll go through the 3 modes: low, medium, and then high. So high mode is 1500 lumens for 10 minutes, and then it'll step down to 1000 lumens, and then hold that 1000 lumens for 160 minutes. Next is the medium, is 400 lumens, and this thing will run at 400 lumens for 7.5 hours. That is a long time for a rechargeable light like this that's this size, in my opinion anyway. The low setting 60 lumens is going to run for 50 hours, and these low settings that Olight has on some of their different lights, and we've gone over a couple of them, you can get a tremendous amount of runtime on them, and for 60 lumens for 50 hours, that's not too shabby. They market this as kind of like a law enforcement firefighter type search and rescue application type of light. As far as for illuminating large areas, getting some decent distance. With that said, I would not say this is a tactical light by any means. And honestly, for me, for a tactical light, I want something on the end cap. I want something I can just hit and it's going to turn on. It's easy muscle memory. You can't mess it up, right? And the problem with one of these buttons is that while it's very functional sitting here talking to you on the deck, using it at night around not under any stress or gloves or sweat, whatever, it's very easy to hit and activate this button like you should. There's no issues with that. The problem comes in if you're under stress, you're wearing gloves, you're sweaty, you know, and then where on here is this, right? Like, I can feel it, it's tactile, I don't have a problem with it right now, but at night you're trying to jam it real quick. Where is it all the way around here? I don't know. You're going to have an issue with that in a high stress situation. That's why I would not consider this a tactical light in that regard. It does have a strobe mode on it. You triple click it and it'll go into strobe mode, which I think flashes out at 1,000 lumens for the strobe mode. Cycles fairly quickly as well. Definitely be crazy disorientating to somebody if you were using it in that regard. But again, without that tail cap, you want to make sure you're using this for the appropriate application, as far as I'm concerned anyway. I mentioned the low power indicator on here. Charger wise, the LE kit comes with a charging base, charging dock that this light will sit and drop right into. Now, the light on the front here goes from red to yellow to green. Red is charging, yellow means it's almost ready, and green means it's done. Now, the best I can tell, I've drained this up and down a couple times here, really trying to figure out the light on here. When it says, you know, basically good enough, right? The orange, or the yellow, I should say. And I would say that that probably falls in line with their rating of being able to charge from 0 to 80% in this dock in 1.5 hours. I think that probably does put you around the 80%. Just from what I can guess from 1.5 hours watching when the light comes on. Kind of hitting it on a timer the second time, so I wasn't there, but I actually came back and able to catch it. So there we go in that regard. The dock itself plugs into a standard outlet. It also comes with, in the box, and we'll get into some of the other features of the LE kit here. The standard one comes with one of those rings, magnetic rings that charge on the back here. This is magnetic. You can see it'll actually mount to the side of the metal chair there. Both of them come with a pouch, no matter which one it is. Decent little pouch. It's not too shabby. It looks pretty well made. The Velcro on it holds pretty well. It's got a kind of D-ring on the top here. You can hang it off of something. And then it's got this Velcro on the back here for the loop. This is wide enough to fit any kind of duty belt, since that's what kind of is listed out there for. This is also just the right width to fit through MOLLE webbing. So if you wanted to mount it to a vest or something, you could do that. Keep in mind, it's not quite long enough to loop perfectly under that bottom, hit 2 rows of MOLLE and bring it back up over the top. So you really only be able to use this with 1 MOLLE loop. And pouch wise, assuming this Velcro holds up inside that 1 MOLLE thing, you should be decent retainment anyway, or retention in here, using this pouch, you know, if you're like hiking through the woods or something, right? Because you're supposed to, you know, be seeking with this. Also in the box that does not come in the standard one, it's only in the LE one, is a DC charger that will plug into, unplug the AC, plug in the DC, and then plug into your car outlet. I haven't tried using it in the car. Personally, like in my Jeep, I have an actual AC plug. If I was going to plug this in the car, I would. It also comes with the LE kit, also comes with something else for the back of these. It comes with some Velcro hook and loop. It actually comes with 4 hook on the 2 that are already attached, and then 2 others that come loose in the box. And this clicks right into here, so you can, you know, take this off and stick it to the wall, Velcro it to it, and you've got it there. Or it's got holes in here and comes with screws, so you could actually, you know, screw this into something if you wanted to, which is a nice feature to see. Then you can just slide it out and move this to wherever you're moving with it, you know, assuming you had a patrol car or something along those lines. The difference between price on those 2 kits, the MSRP difference is $20. So to get the extra DC power adapter and some of those mounting options, plus the charging dock, which I forgot to mention on the charging dock, there's a little switch on the side here. You can flip it, and when you flip that switch, it turns it into like an emergency night light, so to speak. So what happens is you put your light in here to charge, it's sitting in here, the power gets interrupted for any reason, it'll sense that power is not going to the charging base, and it will turn your light on low for 10 minutes. So that way if the power goes out, you can at least see and find your light in the dark, theoretically. And 60 lumens, if you have this mounted shining straight up onto your ceiling, it's going to throw off a pretty nice little beacon in the middle of the night to light up the room, help you get to it. If that's something that you're interested in as part of your emergency preparedness plans or something along those lines. Something kind of neat little feature for them to throw in there. As I mentioned earlier, there is a pretty substantial flash sale on this guy coming up, so check down below in the description for the links and more information on that. While you're down there, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them there. Another great place to leave comments is on Facebook, facebook.com/gunreviews. And if you're not getting notifications on our videos, what you have to do is, and it happened to a lot of firearms and liberty-related channels, you have to go back onto the main page, next to where it says subscribe, click that bell and make sure it's hit so that you get notifications when we have new videos. We do about one video a week, so it's not like we'll spam you guys out. And if you aren't subscribed, it's a great time to subscribe as well. The newsletter, 13cgunreviews.com, you can look it on the side. It's also on Facebook. There's a sign-up thing there to sign up for our newsletter. Maximum of 1 email a week. Normally it's about 1 email every 10 days. And just keeps you in the loop with where we are. And if something happens, we get another strike here on YouTube, they shut us down, something like that, you can follow along with us to where we're moving. Full30.com is a great place to find us as well now. And Instagram, we are at 13cgunreviews. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. We'll talk soon.